Texas State might be looking to make a move to the zombie Pac-12. Let's talk about what that could mean for the Pac-12, for Texas State, and college football. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If that is something you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like this video and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think that Texas State should make the move to the Pac-12? And how do you think it's going to affect college football? Let's start with this. The Pac-12 has 8 members, but 7 that are joining as football members. They need 8 members to be an FBS conference that we get to claim and note. And this is important because of the college football playoff, but also the zombie Pac-12 trying to do it with San Diego State, with Colorado State, with Fresno State, with Boise State, with Washington State, with Oregon State. I honestly believe they should just call it state conference, but hey, that's up to me. They want to do something with the Pac-12 name, do something with the Pac-12 name. It ain't the Conference of Champions anymore. It's the Conference of State Colleges. But that's not a bad thing, right? Texas State, for instance, is on its rise. They got 40,000 students in San Marcos. The football team has been good in the Sun Belt. And more importantly, Texas State got incentive to want to leave quick, fast, and in a hurry. Because July 1, the buyout to leave the Sun Belt goes from $5 million to $10 million. Save $5 million by going, hey, we're going to join up in the Pac-12 2026. We love y'all in the little SEC, but we're trying to make it do what it do over here. On the West Coast. It means you're also going to get some West Coast games. It means you're also going to get a West Coast audience. And to be the school that is furthest east in the Pac-12 also has its benefits. To say nothing of, Larry Scott was already trying to do this with the Pac-12 back in 2010, 2011, when I was still in grad school. Y'all remember, Larry Scott was this close to getting Texas and Oklahoma to join the Pac-12 and turn it into a super conference. And that got thwarted, mostly because the Lost Dod got in the way of all of this. And I get it, right? But I think being able to pull off this move is going to help not just the Pac-12 get to the FBS magical number of 8, because they got Gonzaga, but Gonzaga's only joining, they're not joining in football, I should say. I think it's also important in that we get to take the Pac-12 a little bit more seriously. Is it going to be as competitive as the Pac-12 that we previously known? Absolutely, positively not. There's absolutely no way. But could it be as competitive as the Mountain West? Sure. As the Sun Belt? Absolutely. And more importantly, it would be a better league, I think, than Conference USA. It would be a better league, perhaps, than the MAC. Those are the 2 leagues that are really pulling up the caboose of this here train as it stands right now. There are a few independents here and there, but outside of Notre Dame, we don't really care. Like, we're not really pining for UConn. UMass just bit the bullet and decided we got to go back to the MAC. We got to see what we can do inside of a conference. I'm really interested in conference realignment. We've always been interested in conference realignment, and we come to understand conference realignment as a thing that just needs to keep on going, right? And it's going to keep going because the money keeps getting bigger, and as the geography continues to get more and more interlocked in as far as what the conferences do and as far as what the regions can do, yeah, I expect to see more movement. And we saw this with basically the implosion of the Pac-12 because George Kliavkoff wouldn't take the deal that was on the table, first from Apple and then from others, right? It was a lot less than he thought that they could get. But you know what? A lot less than nothing, right, is still nothing. Whereas $34.5 million, I think it would have been annually paid out. It's not great, but you would have been able to keep the Pac-12 and perhaps keep UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington in the boat. Or perhaps you lose a couple of those. Like, I think they were always going to lose USC and UCLA to the Big Ten, but they didn't have to lose Oregon and Washington as well. Oregon and Washington, who signed up to go in the Big Ten without taking no money, right? Kind of like what Southern Methodist did going to the ACC. Southern Methodist is a team that many people would have thought had been a natural fit to the Big 12. They made make the leap from the American to the ACC because somebody saw around corners. Same thing happened to Colorado. They see the Pac-12 is imploding. They in Utah get up out of Dodge. BYU, they join up with the Big 12. Big 12 is a healthy conference. 16 teams, 16 competitive teams, 16 teams we want to watch. Maybe the 3rd best conference in all of football, depending on how you want to break this thing up. If you think that Clemson is carrying the ACC, you would be right. Outside of them, it's really difficult to point to somebody in the last 5 years that's been just as good at getting their teams into the playoff and or winning a national championship. Like, that's the knock against the Big 12. They don't have a national champion in the college football playoff era. Whereas you got Clemson and Florida State, that's 2 programs. I think you got 3 championships since the formation of the college football playoff in 2014, right? We know what the Big Ten is about. We know what the SEC is about. What I am curious about is once Texas State decides to make a decision, whether or not to stay in the Sun Belt or move to the Pac-12, as Pete Tamla has reported, John Wilner has reported, two of the guys that I would expect to know the most about this. What does it do in as far as the competition that we see on the field, right? I think that league is going to look a lot like the Mountain West, right? The way that we tend to look at Boise State, UNLV, Air Force, Wyoming, and what used to be, Colorado State, so forth, so on. That's how we're going to look at that league. I don't think you need to add more, though. I think they need to add Texas State because Texas State is going to be a real watershed moment for that conference, getting back on the good foot in our graces, right? I'm also curious to find out just what this means for G.J. Kinney and the Bobcats, who have been on one. People forget Texas State had Arizona State against the ropes last year. And if they weren't able to win that game, we might be thinking about them differently, to say nothing of how we'd be thinking about it, Arizona State. Now you've got a G.J. Kinney who is a favorite son of Texas, who was a great high school product at coming out of Texas. And my classmate at the University of Tulsa, he was playing quarterback. And his wife, Summer, was on the cheerleading squad with me back when I used to throw white girls in the air for a scholarship. Cool dude. One of the coolest dudes you'd ever want to meet. And I know everybody says the same thing, but I'm going to continue to say it to you. He's a great man, and he's a great player, or was a great player. He's a great coach. I really enjoy him. The kids enjoy him, and they're fun. When he's got a quarterback, they're going to throw it all over the yard. They're going to throw it all over the yard. They're going to have a good time throwing it all over the yard. And I think they're going to be a lot of fun. Now, you put him in a league with Spencer Danielson. You put him in a league with Sean Lewis. You put him in a league with Jay Norvell, and you've got some really charismatic coaches there. We'll see what the football product is looking like. But I got to tell you, on paper, it feels like it can win. Now, the thing that I think the Pac-12 is going to be facing up against is not only that it's signed up with the CW, but that people aren't really going to pay attention to it the way they pay attention to the other four Power 4 conferences. They're just not. It's going to be sickos like you and me. I'm recording this here segment at 12:30 a.m. Central Standard Time because I ain't got no kids, and I do this for a living. So I had the time, sat down. I want to do the segment. We can do the segments. One of the things I love about video on demand. I mean, outside of that, like me being up in midnight, that's nothing, right? Me being up at 1 a.m., that's nothing. I'm going to do that during the college football season anyway. But how many people do you know that are casual college football fans that are willing to do that? How many of them even know what the mascot is for Texas State? This is where the Pac-12 has to boost its branding and try, right? It really has to try. Is it going to be okay in a few years? We'll see. But nobody knows what the college football playoff picture is going to look like. We think it's going to look like 16 teams. We think it's going to go to some straight seeding. But that's neither here nor there right now because we can't even argue about whether or not it should be a 4+4+2+2+1+1 or whether or not we should just, have a free-for-all where the best teams get selected, which is I think what everybody would want. The chances of a Pac-12 team being one of those teams that's selected, I'm not so sure, dog. I'm not so sure.